If you're looking to build a Python trading bot for the beautiful and famous Hyperliquid decentralized exchange here, you're in the right place. But now, before you even think about having a code placing a real trade for you, the first crucial step is backtesting your trading strategy ideas. And this is exactly what we're going to cover today. Actually, this video is not a theoretical video about backtesting, not at all. It's going to be very practical. What I should say is that I'm sharing with you this very simple open source code I prepared so that you can backtest all your trading and strategy ideas on the Hyperliquid exchange. Better said, by downloading the ohlcv data of the Hyperliquid exchange. And the point is, you will be able to, I'll show you, really, the point is not to go in the nitty-gritty of Python coding, etc. Not at all. Just going to point out the main features, what you can change to implement your own trading strategy ideas. For example, here you see an example of how I compute the indicators. The point is, even if you're not an expert in Python or programming, etc., with this and a bit of help of some AI here and there, you will be able to implement your own strategy choices and backtest them in a few seconds. And not just that, I'll keep that for later, but of course, we'll run this, a lot of plots will come out, very important metrics, numbers, all of that to judge the robustness of your strategy. Last thing that I should mention is that with this code, this backtesting, downloading the data, computing indicators, and the previous video I made, I'll link it down below. I've also linked the code, the link to this code down below, 100% open source, no problem. Is that, I'm losing my words, is that with this previous video, I gave a code to how to place orders, like physically have a code that sends your market orders, etc., with take profits, stop losses, etc., on the Hyperliquid exchange, on your own account. So with today's code, that previous video, you basically have all the ingredients to construct your trading bot. Anyways, let's get back to the topic of today, thorough backtesting for robust strategies. Now, the strategy example I'm going to take to show you all of this tooling, I need to take a simple strategy template that I can use to explain everything that's going on in the code and how to use it. And so you can change, put stuff on top of that, whatever. And so what I wanted to do is not just give you a Python code, but also for that strategy example, also I'll share this Pine script that mimics exactly those rules. So you really have both things, because you might want to do comparisons or whatever. The point being, if you're doing a Python trading bot, your goal is that. Obviously, having the Python trading bot backtest code is already doing half of the job. So you will need to go to this Python trading bot backtest code at some point. But I thought giving you also the Pine script code, link in the description down below, would help you in this whole procedure. So there you go. Strategy, very simple. I'm giving you a very simple template here. By no means saying this is a robust strategy. It is an example. I'm not a financial advisor, you have to know, and that trading is very risky. You can lose all your capital, etc. I'm just sharing, making an educational video, sharing my experience, my opinions, etc. So back to the strategy very quickly. Super simple rules. RSI, when the RSI goes above its overbought level, so 70, I enter long. You see an example here. When it goes back below the 70, the overbought level, we close that long. There you go. So I'll link all of this in the description below. And now the point is that I will show you how this code works. You can already see RSI parameters. The point being that once you've understood, I've explained everything, you can come here and implement your own indicators, your take profit rules, whatever. So let's go. Okay, let's go through the code now. By the way, I've opened this with VS Code, an IDE, if you don't know, a very well-known one. But I do want to mention, if you want help in installing this or even learning Python programming, I have a free Python for Finance course, several chapters that will guide you through all the basics of Python, up to a lot of financial applications, etc. So don't hesitate to look into this. So let's do, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to click on Run All. So I don't have to click on all the cells at each time. What are you saying? Blah, blah, blah. Let him do its thing. Here, first, what I'm doing is I'm virtually installing the packages I need, just in case on your machine, your computer, you don't have all these libraries. They're very famous Python libraries. Pandas is for data analysis, TA for computing technical analysis indicators, beg your pardon, matplotlib, famous plotting library, NumPy to deal with arrays, matrices, things like that. And finally, ccxt. This is a huge, I use it a lot. You'll see it often in my videos. It's a library that is like a meta API connector. I don't know how I would call it, but through this, you can handle talking to a lot of exchange using always the same functions. So you can look into that. If you go on their documentation, thanks to this, you can use a hell of a lot of exchanges and code with that. Anyways, the point is not to understand all of this. Let me now import them. And we're now getting to the first things where we can put our hands in. You can see in this first cell, I'm actually running them when I've already run them again. But anyways, so you can see here you can come and change your symbol. So here we'll be using BTC as an example, but if you want to come and put Ethereum or whatever contract coin, beg your pardon, you just come change here. I do ask to give the base and the code. Again here, this is for plotting purposes later in the analysis. It helps the code just to know what is the base currency and what is the quote currency is for display if you want. And now you might see something quite funny here is that I have different dates that you need to fill in, a backtest period and a download period. This is something quite important, and I forgot to mention about TradingView. If you ever compare TradingView results with one of your homemade codes with Python or whatever, something like this, or your own, make sure, even if you put the same dates, make sure that in the analysis, you're considering the same trades, because sometimes even if you write this date or that date, the first trade will not happen. You'll miss some trades. Typically, let me give you an example, and this explains why I'm giving two types of dates here. If you compute a 100-day moving average, the first 99 days or the first 100 days, I never know, will simply be not used because you will need to have all of those days to be able to compute that first average. And then from there, you have enough dates that every day can get an average. So if you start, you download your data and here, and you put the backtest date and the download date at the same date, and you have this 100-day moving average. Well, actually, the 100 days will not be able, the backtest code will not be able to take them into account because simply it cannot compute that average yet. And TradingView might handle these cases differently. And when you put the starting date, it might virtually go back further in the past, etc. So make sure you know about this. And when you're comparing, you're really comparing the same number of trades, the trades that start at the same date, etc. So that if you look at the metrics, etc., it makes sense. What you're comparing makes sense. I hope this made sense. If you have any questions, by the way, about anything, of course, comments down below or community Discord. We have one, you have the link in the description down below, and you're free to come and discuss with us, etc. So there you go. So configuring, and I forgot to say time frame as well. So that basically is configuring the data that will be downloading. Coin, time frame, and period we are going to backtest on. Now, this cell is portfolio management, what I call portfolio management. So typically what initial capital you want to start with for your backtest. Position sizing, this you could implement several methods if you feel like it. There's a function I'll show you below that you can change if you want to do that. But basically, I'm taking things simple, saying you might want to consider entering with 5% of your portfolio, 50, 100%, whatever. So here you can come and change this number. Great. Trading fees, very important. Those are the futures trading fees. I think level 0 on Hyperliquid. So very important. You must always backtest considering trading fees because especially when you do fast trading strategies with a lot of trades per day, etc., You can put 0 trading fees. It looks like it's the bomb. It's going to change your life. But then you activate fees. You've done so many trades that your gains just cannot make up for the amount of money you're paying in fees, and your strategy goes to the red. So be very careful with that. Don't fool yourself by thinking your strategy is great and you haven't yet considered trading fees. Never do that. It hurts. Anyways, leverage as well. I've put the leverage here. Great. So here you can see I put a section of parameters of the training indicators of this strategy. And what you see here, as I said in my simple example, I'm considering the RSI. So we basically, for this, are only interested in 2 parameters of the RSI. What level do I consider it overbought? What level do I consider it? What length, what period on which I'm computing the RSI? So obviously, if you consider other indicators, whatever, I just suggest that you come and fill the dictionary here with your names and your parameters, and then you can come here and fiddle and change. If you wanted to test the RSI over 20, you can come here and change things and rerun the backtest, try your parameters, etc. And by the way, I haven't said that, but you must always keep in mind that past performances never guarantee future result. A backtest is there to tell you whether your strategy was capable of making profits in the past, but it's not telling you whether it's going to make profits in the future. But it can help you understand how it works, how to make it more robust. You can backtest on several different markets, different periods to see how your strategy reacts to build build robust strategies so you are confident that it will work well in the future. So that's why changing parameters, changing periods, etc., is very important in this whole trading bot building. Okay, then I'm moving on. I've put a set of ignores. If you want to consider long only or mimic, for example, spot trading, you could come here and ignore shorts and not give short rules, beg your pardon. So here today, I'm sticking to something simple. I'm only considering that we will be doing long. So that's why there's a true here. And also TP, SL, and exit. So what ignore, for example, I don't want to give in the simple example today a take profit rule or a stop loss rule. Don't worry, how can I say? The functions where you have to fill up your rules are already filled in. I'm just not considering in the backtest. So if you ever want to consider your own take profit, you come here and put false because you don't want to ignore it. And then we'll get to this here. Where are we? Okay, here, compute long SL level. You can actually come and change the rule or keep this simple percentage one, and it will be automatically considered by the backtest. But I'm keeping things simple today, and I'm just doing longs. And why did I put exit false? Because I'm considering this overbought exit. Now, in a general strategy, you might just have a entry condition, a take profit, and a stop loss. But maybe for whatever reason you want to master exit, whether your take profit or your stop loss was never hit. So you have a technical analysis exit. For example, here the overbought going under the overbought region, whatever. So I wanted to give you all the possibilities where you can consider take profit, you can consider stop loss, you can consider a normal indicator like exit. Great. Now, so downloading the data. There's actually nothing to do here. I'm just going to show you what gets printed. But this is really the function. You see it uses CCXC, as I mentioned, and Hyperliquid. So this is the function that goes fetch the Hyperliquid data, given the symbol that you fill, the time frame, and the dates. So the code, I've already done the run all, but for the code to know, if you haven't done the run all, make sure you run the cells, etc. And here I'm actually, so here that was the definition of that function. And here and I'm running a call. I'm running a use of that function where in there's the symbol, the time frame, etc., the dates that we filled up here. So as you can see, what happens is that it's in the form of a pandas data frame. And you can see we have downloading, almost 170 rows, 170 dates. and you have the timestamp, open, high, low, close, and the volume. Typical ohlcv data. So there's nothing much to do here. I just wanted to mention what it is. Now here in strategy rules, this is where you might come, you actually would come to implement your own rules. So the point is, I'm giving nice names. So what's happening is that once we have this ohlcv data frame, this object here, we're going to add some new columns, which will be the results of the computation of the indicators. So that then the backtest engine, the backtest engine, the backtest code, the function, etc., you don't have to touch anything. It just knows it's going to get this table with the names, etc., and it will run the backtest for you. But here you need to be consistent in what comes now. So the first is, how do you compute the indicators? You can see here in my example, we're only considering one. So I called it RSI, and I'm using this TA library. Go check it out if you want the documentation here. There's a lot of indicators that you can compute with it. I've put some random examples here that you might want to look into, so you get a feeling, but you can see always. And of course, in here, you can do your own computations as well. What is important is just to know that you're filling columns in this data frame and put some nice names, because you will reuse this to define the strategy rules. We'll see that in a second. So this is defining the function. This is a little preparation of the data. You don't need to change this. And again, here, we are actually now preparing the data. So I'm running that cell again. And you can see now what happens, exactly what I said. RSI here, this column has been added. And note, we have lost some rows here. And that's exactly what I was telling you, is because of the backtest dates and the download dates. So now I've filtered all my data to be only the data on the range, beg your pardon, the period that I've selected as my start backtest date and my end backtest date. So there you go. This is the exact data we'll be backtesting on. And then it's time to define or explain our strategy rules. So now the strategy rules, but let me first take just a couple of seconds to tell you that if you ever want to create an account on Hyperliquid, there's a link down below that will give you a 4% discount on all your trading fees. And in the long run, that can mean, if compounding interest can make a big difference. But also what it means is that you're supporting a lot this channel, my work in sharing all this open source and free content, because that means also a part of your training fees will not all go to Hyperliquid, but a bit will come back to me. So it's a lot of help, a big support for me. So I really want to say thank you if you do use this registration link. Anyways, so let's talk about implementing the rules. So basically, here you have everything the code needs. So the actual names here should never be changed. What is important is what is inside. You can fiddle to indeed implement your own strategy rules. So you can see typically, often if you want to compare going above, going below, the maximum that you'll need is the row. So that's a given date and the previous one. So the previous date, so that you can compare going above, going below, because it means algorithmically that in the previous date it was below, and in the new current candle it's now above. So typically that's what you see here in this context. That's why I was telling you put meaningful names here, because now I've defined RSI here, so I know it's this column. So now I'm telling, when you'll be doing scanning, because backtesting basically means scan all those rows one after the other and check your entry, exit conditions, etc., if they should be triggered or not. So basically, you need to know those names well here so that you can implement your rules here. So very silly, as I said, this is a crossover. So I'm saying previous row of the RSI, if it was below my overbought, and now of that current candle, it is now the current candle is above this overbought region. That's true. That means I need to enter. So what will happen here? It returns a true. So you can see the exit condition is the reverse. And as I've put them here, you can define some stop loss and take profit levels. I left this here displayed, but because I put false, that means they will not be considered. We can activate them later. I'll show you. But if here you want to do different rules, maybe with the ATR or something like that, just know that you can come and access row here. So you could have row ATR if entry price times 1 plus something ATR, something, whatever. You can totally do that. You can just come change it. And don't hesitate to ask an AI to help you with all of this. They're very good. They can really help you. I didn't bother filling those up because I'm not considering shorts. But if you wanted to put your own rules, just follow the same things I said here and implement your rules here. And of course, make sure you remove the flag, the false flag, the true to make it to false in the shorts here. Okay, great. So I think I've said enough. These were already compiled, and now we're getting to the core functions. Actually, before I tell you about these quickly, I want to mention a few words about a tool that I've been using for a few years. It really changed my life, and I just want to tell you a bit about it quickly because I think it could be very useful for you. It's basically a password saver. I don't know how you call them anymore, on steroids. So typically it's this little thing here, the Proton Pass, which the amount of things it does, typically here, it remembers the email, you can do that. It has all the features that you want. Like if you want if you have a 2FA, the window will pop up. You can store passkeys, you can store notes, you can store documents. Then there's new features, even SSH keys, API credentials, all of this. And this is the important thing I wanted to say. This is provided by Proton. They also have a drive, a lot of mail, etc. But this is a non-profit organization which are dedicated to internet digital privacy and security. They're not big firms who give you all these services. They're a dedicated organization, old organization, focusing on this. So if you're interested by that, in the description down below, you'll also get links which will give you more than 50% on these features. Typically, I think the Proton Pass with all of this will be maybe €2 or €3 per month or something like that. So don't hesitate. Anyways, I need to get to the real stuff. So in fact, here, there's practically nothing you should change, except maybe here, if you want to change the way you want to compute your position sizing, this is where you can come and fiddle. But all of these are just functions the code needs, the backtester needs to do. You can see there is a liquidation. This is an approximate computation to give you an idea. I don't know exactly how Hyperliquid deals with its liquidation mechanism, but this is generally the textbook approximation to compute liquidation levels, prices. Anyways, that is for isolated margin, by the way, right? Anyways, P&L, how to compute P&L, very simple. This is a little tool to record the orders. So we have a nice recording to have at the end all the trades, whatever, nothing to touch here. Then here you have the big function that is the run backtest. I'm definitely not going to go into these details. It works in this code. If you have questions, again, comments, Discord down below, whatever. The point being, I think we should just run the backtest with all the strategy parameters that we ask. And you know what? I'll just do clear output and then do run all again. So we'll see it happening under our eyes, how fast this whole thing can be. What takes a bit of time, generally, if you're downloading a lot of data, where are we? I don't know exactly where the code is at. So it's at that level here, but where's the code at? Yes, sorry. What I was saying, it was indeed here at downloading so it took 6 seconds to download all of this. This will depend where you are in the world, what your internet speed, whatever. Anyways, but then I think we probably missed the whole thing, but too bad. It was run, like the backtest took only 0.1 second to run. Here is a little verbose that tells you, if you're curious, if we had stayed here, we would see the lines adding one after the other, telling you where you have a long entry, exit, the prices, etc. The point is, this is just display. The analysis that comes out of it will the code computes a nice data frame with all the trades in there, etc. So this was run because I did run all. Again, this is not super clean. I could have put all of this in functions. I didn't. The point being, this is all automatic. So you change at the top of the code when he's changing, then the rest just runs, and you can see you have the results under your eyes here. So there's a bit of things that you have here. So That's why you had to click to see more. But again, my point is not to tell you the benefits or the bad things about the strategy. As I said, it's an example. So I just want to show you what the code spits out naturally. But so you see, profits gives you starting balance, final balance, a comparison with HODL. Here in the plot, I didn't show the HODL curve and show HODL was fast, but we could put a true here and it'll show on overplot here the HODL, how much you would get if you had only done hodling. Anyways, so you see these metrics here. Trade metrics then, number of orders, win rate, total number of close trades, very important to know how many close trades you will get to how many trades you're basing your analysis on. If it's only 5 trades, the number that you're getting mean absolutely nothing. Average trade profits, number of winning trades, number of losing trades, average winning trade, how much on average your winning trades gave you. You see here 11, super good. Losing trades was the average loss you got on your losing trades too. This is typically, you have the inputs of a momentum or trend following strategy where the win rate is not super high, but because your winning trades earn way more than what your losing trades lose, then you have a winning strategy overall. So that's that's how trending strategies, momentum strategies work, which are quite opposed to, for example, mean reversion, which kind of do the opposite. Anyways, I'm going too far. Let's carry on. Health of the strategy, super important. The maximum drawdown, super important to compute maximum drawdown to see that's a measurement of the risk. Profit factor, return over maximum drawdown. There you go. Also the fees, so as I was saying, fees can really eat your profits. So here I'm giving you an idea of how much fees. The code is giving you an idea of how much. It's telling you how much fees you spent. Great. So you see very simple plots. Sorry. net profits in USD instead of percent. There you go. The point being here that you can very quickly analyze your idea, see if it works, see if it doesn't, see if it needs more work. What could we do? We could, for example, I don't know, just to show you how another occurrence of running the code. So let's see, we had net profits almost 100 here, maximum drawdown minus 12. Let's say for whatever reason I wanted to change, I don't know, my RSI overbought region. Let's be even more selective. Let's say overbought region is 80. Let's do a run or let's quickly come down here to see the trades happening. So it's downloading again the data. I'm being a bit lazy. If I want to avoid downloading the data, I could just rerun the important cells. I didn't do that just here, so let's just wait a second. And it was super fast, but although we have less trades, you can see here, makes sense. We were more selective in our rules, so we have less trades. Let's go down. So what do we have? We have much less profits, 31%. Number of closed trade is 10. Let me tell you that with 10 trades, I wouldn't trust any statistics that I get on this backtest. But I just wanted to show you how fast, how you can run the code, etc. So I do want to mention that maybe you're interested in all of this. Coding is not your thing, but you're interested, you need some help by a consultation. Don't hesitate to let me know. But also, if you just don't want to code, but you have a lot of ideas and you want a professional touch, I code big trading bots, codes, apps, etc. for clients. If you need analysis tools, notification tools, Discord, Telegram, I don't know, you want to handle a client based via Discord or with a graphical interface, whatever. I'm just throwing developers' names, but I just want to say I do that professionally for clients, so you don't hesitate to let me know and I'll get back to you. Great. I hope this was helpful. I just want to say happy trading, take care, and I hope to see you soon.